Hello Guardians, it is Ebontis here, and in this guide I want to show you how literally anyone, any class with a pretty basic loadout, not masterworked armor, and then some pretty standard find weapons should be able to solo, and then potentially probably with some patience, some deaths, and some practice, probably solo flawless the Grasp of Avarice. So the first thing to go over is loadout. If you guys are looking for any certain section of the dungeon that I kind of use for a basic strategy, I'm typically trying not to be using like optimal supers or optimal exotics or anything of that nature, but you can go to a section, I'll explain what's going on, give you some gameplay as an example, and then you can hopefully take that, and if you've got optimal weapons or a better super to use, you can totally use that as well. So use the timestamps if you want to, but let's talk about my general loadouts first for like the lowest, decent thing possible. Alright, so I am recording this in December during Season of Lost, so I will be using particle deconstruction as part of my loadout. Main reason is, at this point into the season, most people have probably unlocked an artifact enough to be able to get particle deconstruction. Now, when Witch Queen comes out, things are drastically going to change. We won't have this mod anymore, but also there's going to be a lot more that changes with the full expansion. So I may do a completely new guide around that time, so you guys can expect one then, but for now, we're basing this around particle deconstruction. That being said, I'm going to try and use mods and weapons that you can either directly go for. The only exotic weapon I'm going to use, I think, is the one that everybody gets first off. And for my armor, while mine are all masterworked, the only mods I'm going to use are ones that you don't need to spend any more than like enhancement cores and legendary shards. I'm not asking you to spend prisms or cores. Now, there's one place I'll tell you we're going to probably spend a couple prisms, but that's still fine. So what we got here is class item. If you're ever going to masterwork completely any piece of armor, do your class item first because they're universal. You're never going to find a better stat. So if I have a void class item, I'm good on this class. Particle deconstruction is the main thing I want here, and that's just because it's going to work for fusions, linear fusions, bonus damage for your boss damage sections. That's what this is mainly for. Kind of the main way to go. For the leg armor, I am going to run Protective Light. So if you can get void armor here, you shouldn't need to go any higher than 6 energy on your armor. So I've got Protective Light. This will keep you alive when you get charged with light. Trust me, it's something you should pretty much have on in most PvE things. Better already if you pick up an orb, which there should be a lot of them. You should be getting your health back. And then Fusion Scavenger is cheap this season, so we may as well take advantage of that. That's 6 energy. For the chests, I'm going to ask you to have 2 different chests, but they do not need to be masterworked. You just literally need 4 energy. 1 chest with void resistance and linear fusion reserves. And then if you have any other chest, you can turn into a solar energy chest with solar resistance and then linear fusion reserves. Again, main reason you want the linear fusion reserves is just bonus ammo for your linear fusion when it comes to the damage phases. The more you have, the more possibility you have to do damage to the bosses. For your arms, up here, the minimum viable, this is up to 7, but it's still only enhancement cores and shards. When you get up to 8, it's a prism. 9's, I think, 2 prisms, then you got an enhancement shard. Linear Fusion Loader. The most important time you need to reload is for the boss damage itself. There are certain phases you do that in here. This is important. Taking charge, anytime you pick up an orb of power, you also get charged with light. This is very important to help you stay alive with Protective Light down here. Finally, depending on what part of the encounter you're on, Linear Fusion Ammo Finder, and then either Grenade Launcher, which I'll get to in a little bit, or Fusion Ammo Finder. Now, if you've masterworked your armor, feel free to throw stats in, throw anything else. I'm just literally showing you guys that with basic mods and pretty much nothing else, that's pretty much all you need. For weapons, I'm using the basic of basic Linear Fusion rifles. Now, the reason is I'm using a legendary is because for the second encounter, I'm going to use an exotic. Up here, I'll get to that. But this is a basic Linear Fusion rifle. Feeding Frenzy and Kill Clip on boss damage do me absolutely no good. The only thing you want to do is make sure whatever linear fusion you have, throw a boss spec on it. That's all you need. And then from there, anything else you've got is optimal. If you have a reload speed masterwork, that would probably be a good thing. I have this one, Rapid Hit and Frenzy with boss spec. This is about as optimal as you can probably go for right now with regards to a linear fusion rifle that's legendary. Sleeper's going to hit like a truck on the first boss, but I would not use Sleeper on the second boss. That's just my preference. Even this Corsair's Wrath. Moving target, high impact reserves, for example. Just throw a boss spec on there and the high impact would have a little extra damage. Either way, linear fusion, throw a boss spec on there. Whatever you got, be comfortable with it. In the energy slot, up until and through the boss fight, the first one, which is the Ogre, I'm going to use Null Composure. Main reason I'm using this weapon is because I know it's something everyone can directly farm for. It's a fusion rifle, so you can take advantage of particle deconstruction to get some extra damage. And this perk works very well to kill groups of ads. Reservoir Burst, when the battery is full, your next burst deals additional damage and causes enemies to explode on death. So you'll be able to kill groups of ads, groups of baby thralls, things like that with explosions, which you'll see will help. Then Feeding Frenzy, each rapid kill with this weapon progressively, basically if you get kills, you reload faster, you get groups of kills, you reload faster. You guys see where I'm going. Throw major spec on this one, you're not really going to use it on the boss. Finally up here, I'm using Biting Winds through the Ogre encounter. And this is just a bow because I like, you know, the single shot damage. You're going to be picking some stuff off from far away. That works for me, but really whatever you want to use in this kinetic slot, as I explained, mostly your call. When we get to the second half of the dungeon, I'm going to switch. I'm going to switch you guys over to a Solar Resistance. At this point, you're done with the Void. I'm going to switch you over to Risk Runner. And this is going to give you both arc resistance and then an arc weapon that is going to do like chain lightning to a bunch of little fallen ads, and you can mow them all down. Most everybody should get this exotic in basic run-throughs of the game, and then you definitely need to go get the catalyst as well. It will help, but you're going to have arc resistance, you're going to do increased damage, and you're going to get your ammo back and have chain lightning. It's kind of an amazing thing in fallen encounters. So when I have Risk Runner, my primary weapon, done, up here I ran a grenade launcher. You may think I'm crazy, it's just something I'm comfortable with. Whatever you're comfortable with in this slot, again, use what you're comfortable with, and that's the whole point. As for subclasses, for about for the boss damage phases, if you have a Titan, optimally, you would sit here and run Ward of Dawn. Sure, you'll get Weapons of Light, you'll get more damage, you'll have a bubble to hide in. It's great for damage on both bosses. It works. But honestly, I want to show you guys how it is without it, because Hunters don't get that option, because Particle Deconstruction is a debuff. The Hunter Tether, which gives you bonus damage generally, is also a debuff on the boss. It's not a buff on yourself. You can't stack Particle and the Tether. So your option at that point is potentially just using a super to clear ads. So at that point, I'm just going to use a basic super to clear ads. If you're a Titan, you know, you could use Bottom Tree Solar. It's a great way to get healing. I actually like that one for most of the fight up until the bosses. So that's actually probably what I would use. Something that's good for clearing ads, and if you've got anything that will help keep you alive, that works well. So as a Hunter, or as a Titan, this one helps keep me alive longer, because when I get solar kills, I get some health back. If you've got anything that functions that way as any of the other classes, same principle is going to apply. I'm also not wearing an exotic over here. For Titans, Crest of Alpha Lupi is amazing. For Warlocks, you guys have a Healing Rift. That is a great thing to use. You also have Well of Radiance. I would 100% just recommend running Well of Radiance. It's the best way to go for all of the classes. So if you're typically maining a Warlock, you're in luck. Just use Well of Radiance. You got Healing Rifts, and you get the bonus damage, and you stay alive. You can pretty much work through anything. You'll be fine. Hunters, for you guys, you don't have as much of the healing. Neither do we as Titans. So my advice for Hunters is to do anything to go invisible. Invisibility is actually going to help you both in depositing kind of this little buff that you pick up, which you have to deposit into crystals, which you'll see. And then, or you could go something like just one big Celestial Nighthawk shot for damage and then work on your linear fusion. It's really up to you guys. Maybe you want to go Raiden Flux to have more damage, or maybe a double dodge if you want to go invisible. Hunters, it's completely up to you guys, but if you have a way to stay alive, like Wormhusk Crown when you dodge, maybe that's your preference. That's totally up to you guys. Any way to stay alive. And then honestly, for Hunters, probably a super that will just work on ad clear is your probable preference. What that is for you guys is honestly just preference. So I'm going to show you guys what it's like on the Titan first. When it comes to damage phases, I could use this literally through the whole thing just to clear ads. If you were going to go optimal DPS for bosses, though, Weapons of Light from the Ward of Dawn or Well of Radiance would be the preferable two. As I don't have that and I'm not running that, I won't do that. But for now, all legendaries, not one exotic. So let's jump in. I'll show you guys how this works and explain everything as we go. Again, timestamps will be there. If you want them, you can look at them. All right, so when you start, you're going to have some Hive going versus some Fallen. Kill the Fallen first, because the Hive are going to be what you're going to kill to drop their engrams. And they're not going to be dropping real engrams. They're dropping these, like, basically Burden of Riches. And as this is a pirate-themed dungeon, that's why it's what it is. And what that basically is going to do is going to be something you need to deposit into this, like, salt crystal or whatever it is. And when you deposit that, these little engrams, you're going to start, that's how you're going to basically activate all of these encounters. So you're going to see as we go. And then for me, I can throw a grenade straight into that tunnel. So if you got a solar grenade, any grenade that does like kind of continuous damage in a direction, is great for this. This also works really well with Null Composure. Fire it in the tunnel and explode everything. So you're going to see all these little engrams on the ground. And you'll notice there's a 30-second timer, and every time you pick up a new one, it resets. So if I come up here, now I've killed a lot of them, I can refresh, and you'll notice I'm down to about 20 seconds. That gets down to 0 for Burden of Riches, I will die. But every time you pick up a new one, you reset it, so keep that in mind. What we're trying to do is get up to a total of 50. I'm at like 35 right now, probably need to clear that one more time. Same thing, turn around, let them spawn a little bit, explode everything in the tunnel. Usually get about 2 or 3 little mini waves in here. And then once enough stuff has died, you're also going to have some wizards that spawn outside. But that's usually about when you've killed 50 enemies. So I've got like 53 here, and I'm going to stand next to this crystal. And you'll notice my buff actually lowers. It's slowly kind of taking that Burden of Riches away. I've never had this dude actually come into the tunnel. That's cute. But it's slowly, basically, you take your Burden of Riches buff and you deposit it into the crystal. You need a total of 50 to get past this part of the encounter. Once you put 50 in, got any ammo you want to pick up, you can grab it, and we'll move on. Then down here, you're going to want a little bit of range because there's a Shrieker first and also a really annoying Knight. So if you can find a good line on the Shrieker, you can actually, like, wake it up. And then if you can kind of thread the needle here, not to put too fine a point on that name, come over here, you're going to have about 3 of these guys. Great time to do some explosion. Whatever your primary is, that's total preference for you. We're also going to have a Knight kind of blowing things up. If you're working on the Catalyst and haven't got that yet, which if you're working on the solo, you may not have the Catalyst for Galahorn yet, but there would be a Reaver Vandal over there. Leave that guy alone. He's just going to suck up ammo, but if the Knight's being annoying, just kill the Knight. Same principle here. If you got a Knight that you can drop, just drop him. It's going to make your life easier because you'll get plenty of ammo when you need it later on, so don't worry about that. Standing on this big giant crystal is probably not advised normally, but I'm just not too worried about it. And we're just going to clear these ads out real quick. Again, this is why I actually really enjoy Null Composure. Basically, Reservoir Burst. If you got Plug 1, that actually has Reservoir Burst on it as well. So you may have a Plug 1 with that. It's actually also a nice way to do it. If you got a good grenade, just watch out for the Explodey guy. And we'll get a little bit of ammo and move forward. So that's kind of the opening section to get down in here. Now we're going to get this little D1 nostalgia moment for Destiny 1 and the Cosmodrome and the cool music. And then we're going to work on some puzzles. So this is a little bit of puzzle, room switching, doors, and all that fun stuff. So biggest thing in here, you got a couple of traps you just want to watch out for. I'll make sure and call them out for all of you. So as we come forward, just good time to reload stuff if you need to. You got nothing to fight for a little while. So when you get into this area, all you're going to have to do is hit the right switch, just not the wrong one. So besides those giant arrows, you're going to come over here to this door. Do not touch that switch on the floor. My best advice is come up on the desk, hug the right wall the whole time, even if the chair's being a little annoying. Get back here, hit this switch, hop back on the desk, and then again, just run across, and just do not touch that switch, or you will basically be instantly killed and impaled. Once you run through here, all you're going to do is if you land here, you'll have a little bit of a delay. The platform will drop out, and you can land right here, hit this switch, and then we're going to go back the way we came because what opened is actually above us. So those platforms, you get a split second to land on them. Easiest way to go up usually as you're coming out of there is right here. Here. And then you got these like 6 like water drain pipes. We're going into the back right one if you get up here to the top. And it's got the broken fan blade in the back, the switch on the ground. This is the only, pretty much the only okay switch to hit. It will open that door. We're going to jump on up and go inside. Again, watch this switch right there. That's again another booby trap switch. These are dropping floors. So if you walk on them, you get a bit of split second to go by them. And that is first checkpoint. Right here is the next checkpoint. So from here, we're going to open this switch. And you could skip this section by like flying all the way over there, or if you're capable of like jumping on here, flying over there, and then jumping across. But I'll show you at least how you normally do the encounter. Watch that switch. That's a booby trap. You're going to have an Exploder Shank and some Thralls, or Exploder Thrall and some Thralls in here, so be careful. There's the other Exploder guy. Knew he would be around. A couple other Thrall. I can set the ground on fire as a Titan, so Yahoo. When you hit that switch, do not go up there. Remember, that thing is going to just kill you. Come back outside. And now you got a little bit of a more reasonable jump that everyone can make without, like, an exotic. Like, I could make it with Lion Rampants, but that would be pretty useless to do in a guide. So I'll throw a grenade down here. There's a switch in the middle right here, as you can see. That's kind of the impaling. If the enemies go across it, they actually will die too, which is really funny. You can actually get them to run across the switch. Sometimes it's hard to get them to go across it, but they actually can kill themselves, so just be careful that you're not around it. Come back here and hit this switch. Then we're going to be on the back wall. You'll notice that was where I entered, was over there to the left, and now we're on the back where we were in the first place. Now when you get in here, this is a switch you do not need to hit, but you do need to go up here instead. And open this one. Two things will happen. The big door in the back of the room will open, but we'll also have spawned a Shrieker. Now, the nice thing about a linear fusion rifle, and I don't know if this is intentional or accidental, but if you have an auto rifle, you cannot fire through the fence. But if you have a bow, which is like a projectile weapon, or for some reason a linear fusion rifle, you can just fire through the fence. That may not work as proper crits, but you can kill them. Same thing with these guys across the way. Just get some nice crit shots on them, and we're good to go. So now I'm going to retreat back the way I came, as we're going to do this in a normal and non-cheating fashion. Come back in here. You're going to have one more set of ads. Any grenade that works for you, just explode everything you can. Watch for the other exploder, because there should be one more. There we go. Grab a little ammo. Remember, this is the room with the switch in the middle, so be careful. And then we're going to hit this switch. And go to the back. So from here, just to be safe, you can always land on this little catwalk and then jump up in here. We already killed all of the ads through the fence. You can come back here, open this guy up. Grab your linear fusion rifle if you want to make quick work of a couple guys. We got one. Knight should work his way up top eventually. Get him a couple headshots, he should go down. And now we just go to that door. That's it. You don't have to go back in that one. The door's already set up for pretty easy jumping. So you got this one. And you just got to make it all the way over here. Now, I told you the checkpoint is when we were just behind that door when we first entered that section. The checkpoint is still there from where, and I'll tell you where the checkpoint actually resets. So if you don't make it through this, you got a little bit of resetting to do. Nice way to kill those guys in a big group. You're also going to find a wizard pop up here momentarily. You're going to have two acolytes. There's a wizard usually somewhere. Apparently not right now. Normally there's one. I feel like he's glitched. I'll find him here in a second, I'm sure. Come over here, hit this switch. And basically we're going to go opposite this big giant cylinder. Now we are probably going to have a wizard over here. There we go. And you're going to have plenty of guys. Now my melee will set some guys on fire, so it's always entertaining to do that. I can sit in the fire and, you know, let them cook. You can explode them with no composure. I just enjoy the explosions. Kind of fun for killing groups. And if you have fusion rifle, you know, scavenger, ammo finder stuff that's already on for linear anyway, you're getting a decent amount of ammo. There are no traps in this area, so I don't have to worry about those foot traps as much. Like no more spikies to the head. It's really fun to troll people, though, so if you get a chance, you should probably do that at least once. Just let them step on at least one trap. You don't have to, like, ruin their day. But that should be most of those guys. There's probably a couple stragglers in the middle. One in the back. Hi. Grab any ammo that's around. Open this switch. That'll be the last one. I'd reload my linear, because you might want the linear, because you're going to be facing a Vandal that has a Scorch Captain. You can kill him quickly when you find him. He's not that bad, honestly. He really doesn't hit that hard, and you'll see later on. But in case, it's nice to kill him quickly. And now we have the Scorch Cannon. So you're going to bring the Scorch Cannon over here, and this is going to be kind of the second mechanic you're going to learn that's going to be important for basically this entire dungeon. You're going to be able to pick up a Scorch Cannon, and you're going to see this little fallen device. You shoot the Scorch Cannon into the middle of it, and most places you're going to need a full charge. When you have the full charge, it will activate typically what it's attached to. For opening doors, it takes a full charge. When you come up in here, you've got these little side slots. When you get up to the second one, duck in it quick, I would run up those stairs, not walk, by the way. But you see the big giant barrel that wants to kill you Indiana Jones style? That's why. So run up those stairs, jump in the second one as quick as you can, let the barrel go by, and you're good. This is a pretty open room, but the reason is when you're working on the catalyst, there's a couple adds in here and another Reaver Vandal, which is hard to kill, so you'll see that when you work on the catalyst, but that comes later. When you jump up in here, we're going to be right here. Get on this ramp, get a nice little jump, whatever you triple jump, floof, float, ice strafe glide over, whatever your jump is. We're going to get over here and set up for the first boss fight. So here's the rally flag point, should appear. Basically, mine's not on the ground, but should be right over here. So I'm going to drop a rally flag and then explain this fight. All right, so basically what is going to happen, you're going to have a Scorch Cannon Vandal back there. They're always going to spawn from a drop ship on that kind of back shelf. That's where the Scorch Cannon is going to be. You're going to use that Scorch Cannon to open either side. Either you've got doors here on the left, which you'll open with this like kind of device over here, or you've got doors a little bit raised on the right, and the little like device that you would hit is over there. Now, it seems I've, like, initiated the encounter, but I can actually sit back here for a little while until I jump, just because I shot an arrow over there. Make sure you get your rally flag to load up, but the idea is, anytime you kill a hive enemy, you're going to get an engram to drop. Same burden as rich as before. The crystal is right back here in the front of the room. So, basically what you're going to need to do is have a way to survive back here, and you can crouch behind the crystal and the ogre won't kill you. But the ogre will shoot that void beam pretty much the whole time. Hence why I told you first to bring void resistance. So now is the time to make sure you have your void resistance equipped. And that's really the only change you need to have at the moment. So what we're going to do is go across, and what's going to happen is every time you open one of the side rooms, you're going to have a set of enemies that come out. Also, every so often, you're going to have these Thrall. And the Thrall are literally the main reason that I have null composures, because I can do that explosion and they all die no matter what's going on. Now this guy is going to be really annoying. This is going to be our Scorch Cannon man. Let me kill him. And he's always usually going to be fighting you from that ledge, but he's also working with the Fallen. So, go over here. Now, depending on the difficulty you do this, he's going to want to shoot me with a big beam. Well, the nice thing about this is you can actually come under the grate, and the radius is close enough that you can pick it up. Now, when I open this side door, there's 3 doors that open, it's one room. There's going to be a lot of hive that spawn in there. My advice is if you have a range super that you can kill these with, and you're not going for like Well of Radiance, or you're not going for, oh, what's the other one? Well of Radiance, or the one, you know, Ward of Dawn for Weapons of Light, you can just use the super like I'm going to show you guys for hammers, and actually just use that to kill the ads. When you pick up 10 of the Burden of Riches, you actually get all of your abilities back, including your super. But as I said, I think in this one or maybe a previous recording, if you're in your super and you pick them up, it won't count. But if you're out of your super and you pick up the engrams, when you pick them up, you'll get your super right back. So it's a nice way to get your super back. So I'm going to show you guys with this one. I'm going to shoot this in. Once I know I've got a good clean shot in there, I hide behind this one so I'm up on the right level. Wait for it to go off and charge. Somehow I did not get a good shot. Now, sometimes you can actually, like, see how you actually can get damage on the side. Every so often you can actually get this damage to count on the side. Normally have to shoot it right into the tube, but we'll just have to see. So now the doors are going to open. I'm going to pop my super right here, and I'm going to clear these ads out. The biggest thing I just want to do is clear the ads and basically not picking up too many of the engrams until my super is gone. Once the super is gone, I can come down here, and you'll see when I get 8, 9, 10, my super is already back. Now, there should be a few more ads around, because each side has 14 engrams worth of enemies. The knights will drop 3, and each one of these guys will drop 1. I think one of the engrams fell below, so I got to try and grab. Nope, don't know where it is. That's a lot of thrall. This is what you'll lose. So I only got 13 that time, which is okay. So you're going to come back here. You will dunk, you know, I say dunk the burden, but basically you'll dunk these right back here. And then you're going to rinse and repeat for the other side. Sometimes the ogre will throw a solar grenade. Kind of hurts. Take a second, gather your health. And in the fallen enemy spawn, they'll actually kind of pull his attention, which will help you. Now we're going to rinse and repeat for the other side. Now, I like to do my damage on the boss from these rooms over here. So that's why on the first side, you want to try and get as many as you can. Because you need a total of 25 to get that crystal to break the immunity on the boss. So if there's 14 possible on each side, If you get 14 on one side, you want to get exactly, or as close as possible. If you get one over on accident just to be safe, it's not the end of the world. But the main reason is, the sooner you are done depositing your Burden of Riches into that crystal, the sooner you can move into position to do damage for the boss. And if you have too many, it's going to take you longer to deposit than you actually need to be there. But you have to deposit them, otherwise you're going to keep the buff on you, and 30 seconds later you'll be dead. So, when I go over here, I only need 11 this time. So what I'm going to do, shoot in here. Let this thing go. Same principle will apply. And again, if you want to use the Scorch Cannon, it's pretty powerful. Throw a grenade down. You can pop your super. And you can just kind of light everything up. The Ogre's going to be hitting you. There's a lot of stuff in here. Same thing. I only need 11 this time. So I actually need less than before. Now you want to make sure you get them before they start going away. I'm up to 6, 7, 8, 9. I need 11. Exactly. Actually, I need 12 because I had 13 on the last one. So that's why it's like sometimes it's not a bad idea. I have 30 seconds, so I can take a second, get my health back, make sure I'm reloaded so my Null Composure can break up all the thrall. Now, if they run at me right here, if they're going to run at me, make sure you jump over them. Apparently, a few of them are dead. They're all going to be coming for me. Now, I can throw a grenade. Grenades are going to work pretty well here, actually. And as soon as you're done, as soon as that's crystal, you're going to have a little bit of time to get into position, and then what you're going to want to do is be ready with your Null Composure for setting up particle deconstruction. Hit him, and then start your linear fusion damage. And the nice thing about Null Composure is the linear fusion damage is already fully stacked particle. Now, the one thing about being over here that can be a little rough, depending on your angle, is if this guy's over here killing me, it makes this part a little difficult. So again, not always perfect, but it is a very safe place to get your damage in. And you'll see right there that he resists temptation once more, and now you're done. Now, was that an optimal damage phase? No, because unfortunately that guy who fires a Scorch Cannon faster than anybody I've seen in my entire life basically came in at the moment that I wanted to do damage. But at first it was actually a fairly tame damage phase. So, when you come out here, same thing's going to apply. I will show you one more damage phase, try and be a little more optimal. But whether you have to do it in 3, 4, 5 damage phases, whatever your loadout is, the same thing is going to apply. So you can rinse and repeat all of the stuff I show you as many times as it takes. That's all you got to do. So just to show you guys both sides of the encounter, even if you get the boss down to this little of health and it's maybe taking you 4 runs or something like that, I didn't quite have optimal damage going into the last one, so I really kind of had to hide for a little longer than I wanted to, and that's kind of how it ended up going. So we're going to try and do it on this last phase. I'll show you guys one more, kind of the bookends of the boss fight per se, and we'll see how this one goes. Should be able to get what I need. Ooh! Don't forget about your super. Remember, you're still going to be getting plenty of engrams in here. I'm picking up the engrams while I'm in my super, which won't refill my super. That's the distinction. Just make sure you remember that. I'll have to get my super from the other side, which is fine. Still got 13 out of 14, which is good. I need to try and get this ammo that's like right under here. I have Harp Tharls coming for me, so I gotta get over here, get in hiding. Start my deposit. I'm good on the ammo front at least. I just gotta not die. Alright, last little bit here. So I got 13 dunked on that one, so I'm going to need 12 from this side. Clear the little ads first, then clear big guy. So I've got plenty of fusion rifle ammo, got a little heavy ammo as well. Apparently got a random scout rifle. I've had so many Eternal Blazons, it's not funny. I think that's stuck. Okay, that'll be good. At this last one, I'm going to load up a grenade when I run in. Take these two out first, load a grenade in this side, and try and really clear this side first. For this side, I only need a set number, which is not nearly as many as you'd think. I have 8, 9, 10, 11. I got 12, which is actually one too many, but that's still totally fine. Get a reload, get a reload. And we're going to go for the finish here. Alright, so that's damage. I'm going to come back here, get in hiding. I'm going to prep him with this, and then start lighting him up. He's been so aggressive over here. It's really weird. There we go. And that is the final. And that can take you 3-4 damage phases. But honestly, fighting in this room, at least you know you have some cover. You could also potentially fight from above, up there on the opposite side, depending on how your rotation goes. And then plenty of people, if you have a bubble or a well, you can literally park it all the way back here. Just don't fall off. But if you're back here, and you literally like pop a well and peek out, or you put a, or pop a bubble, peek out, get your shots, and go back. Or Well of Radiance, just sit here, unload your damage. You're going to be able to survive that better in the open. But out here with just like a plain loadout like I've got, not really going to be a way to survive it. So that is the Ogre encounter. Now, what I'm going to do is have you guys switch over to your other loadout. I'm also going to have you put on a solar resistance, because you don't need the void anymore. There's really no purpose for that. And I'm going to take you guys to the Sparrow encounter. This is one that is probably going to ruin a lot of solo flawlesses. It ruined one of mine. Ruined more than one of mine, but I've just practiced on it a lot. And even then, even with practicing, I'll still have plenty of takes in here probably for this video. So, as we head down here, there's one thing about a Sparrow that will help you probably better understand this encounter. Now, there are two very optimal Sparrows for this run. One of them is an exotic. It's from Scourge of the Past. If you have it, you know what it is. The other one is from Season 7. You may not quite remember it. So if you have Always on Time, this is the best Sparrow to use. Enemies are less aggressive towards you, and it is the fastest Sparrow in the game. But if you were still around in Season 7, you got this Void Streak, EV37, enemies are also less aggressive. And this will help as the enemies shoot you. But even with either of these two Sparrows, I've still been killed. I don't have this one, but I have used this one. I've still been killed. What I'm going to show you guys is, as I run through, there's a couple points where I jump off the Sparrow, kill a couple enemies, and jump back on. And you want to be able to actually reset your Sparrow very quickly. So you can get on a Sparrow very fast. All Sparrows have that instant summon now. So it's like if you hit your Ghost button and then your Summon button pretty quickly together, you can get a Sparrow out. And you can almost do it while moving. So you guys can see, it's like as I'm driving along, it's like, hey, I'm driving through the course, and then I get off and I can almost spawn another one, like right next to it. There's probably a little cooldown that you probably can't do it right next to each other, but you can almost spawn another one before your feet touch the ground. So that's just something you'll want to practice a little bit, mess around with it. And if you're good enough at doing that, that's going to help you in that random moment. Say your Sparrow's like on fire, you want to spawn another one at a kind of a clutch point, it can definitely help you. So wanted to show you guys that. It can be beneficial. All right, back inside. But the goal here is to make it from one end to the other, pass through the little mine zones without getting too much damage, but make sure you spend just enough time in them, because it goes up pretty quick, but you can't like drive through the corner. You kind of have to spend about a half a second in them. But there are little buttons you hit as you travel throughout this section that are going to allow you to extend your time to the next mine. They don't extend the whole thing, but they extend your time to the next mine. And the reason that's important is, and this is why I have Risk Runner on, there are a couple points I'm going to tell you to jump off your Sparrow, shoot the enemies real quick, because they're probably going to damage you as you hop off. You won't die, you'll kill the enemies, and then you can get a new Sparrow and keep going. So I'm going to show you guys that example. I'd actually like this thing to explode so it's not in my way. Make sure your vehicle has, full cooldown done. And we're going to give this a go. If there are multiple takes in here, I'll put a little death montage in for fun. But other than that, hopefully this goes smoothly. You're going to activate and jump on as quick as you can, and we're going to fade right first. And then you want to jump off, smooth landing, kill these guys. And I didn't actually land inside the mine. And that's the only reason. If you land inside the mine, I'd be good. I thought I had enough time, but all right, take 2. So again, as you come over here, first button's going to be on the right. You don't have to get too close. You'll hear it beep. Then as you come over here, you're actually going to jump up and over. And then as you come over and land, you want to make sure you pass through it. Now here, the Sparrow's on fire, so jump off. Get a new one. Now this is one of those rare moments I'm actually going to tell you to get off your Sparrow and shoot some enemies. Sounds weird, but it actually is okay. Hit that button, jump off. Hit these couple of guys, jump on a fresh Sparrow, and then drive here. Now, if your Sparrow's not doing great, you could actually jump off down here at the bottom right after that button, but otherwise take the little button for the time, follow this little canyon crevice, and then drive up here. You're going to get another little button. Same thing's going to apply. Drive over, make yourself known, pull out your weapon, take these guys out. Risk Runner works very well. Take the mine defusal, and then you're literally like defusing the mine as quick as you can to pop out. Jump off of this ramp. And my advice is take the left, because there's a button up here that is going to help you, give you a little extended time. You'd think you'd have more, but you really don't here. I got 5 seconds. You got to make sure you land in here, and then make sure you don't die. That's basically it. So I got it on take 2. Alright, so outside of that, we are going to proceed forward. And this is just a little, jumping around in a few crystals to get to the second to last section. So as you come down here, in here, it's a little confusing, but it's not too bad. Heading towards the light generally is actually a good rule for this part. Life, maybe not, but right now, sure. And then once you get to this section where you feel like you're not entirely sure where to go, you'll see Sunken Lair show up. You can jump over here, and then you can start going around this corner, and when you see the color change to a bit more of a tan stone colored, we're going to drop down and get to this giant open section, which is this thing. But now let me explain this guy. Alright, so this next section is one big room, and you're looking to open that shield. You can see the fallen shield down below, and I swear that bar goes away. But the idea is you need to hit that shield and hit these little things, and there's different ones you'll have. You only have to hit 4 of them, not all of them, to bring the shield down. And what you're looking for is back there. You can kind of see them floating around. There's usually going to be one of the there's going to be a servitor at one of these platforms with like an invincibility shield. You just got to find them, and these launchers will take you around. So let's get it started. The nice thing is you'll notice even Risk Runner right here still does decent damage. You can always just finish them up. So the first one you don't need to line up, but I would advise, if you want to use your super for like ad clearing, for example, find one that's better at ad clearing than, say, a defensive one. I'll usually switch over to a fire one. Just find one that's good for ad clearing, because you can use that, because every time you pick up 10 engrams, and you'll be picking up 20 per like servitor that you do, you'll get your super back a lot. So just use one right now, because you're not locked loadouts or anything that you find beneficial. And what you want to do here, so I'm going to get the rally flag up. And you want to shoot it into the center. And then you want to run to the little cannon when you're ready. And bye. And it'll launch you. So you're literally always just looking for wherever the servitor is, and I can see him up there. And you just got to find him. So now you got to launch yourself around this place. Now I have a Scorch Cannon, so I'll keep it with me. But every platform, if you run out of a Scorch Cannon, will always have a Scorch Cannon guy. So if you need a Scorch Cannon refresh, just find that guy and blow him up. Or just kill him, whatever. Okay, whatever you got to do, there's always going to be one of these around. They're not too hard to find. So if you ever need a refresh, get a refresh. So your goal is to get to the platform where the servitor is at. And you can rotate. These things usually have one option. They're usually going to be aimed at the shield power source, whatever, that you need to shoot. Or they're going to have alternate platforms that they face to. So this one's going to launch me up there. So same principle. You don't have to hit it with a full charge, but you just need to be on the platform. So it's a little harder when you're by yourself. Sometimes you can actually hit it like from the side though. If you see a damage number, you're good. There you go. So it's going to launch me up here. Now we see the shielded servitor. So now you're going to have enemies. So my advice is to keep your Scorch Cannon with you, and you want to track down the actual Scorch Cannon guy. Now, this water you can actually fall into. This stuff isn't going to kill you for a change. Most water in this whole thing tends to want to kill you. But yeah, once he's dead, he's not coming back for a while. So now, this is where Risk Runner comes into play. It's all fallen ads. You just absolutely chain lightning melt everything. And just start picking these things up. And the biggest thing, just watch the Servitor. Still could be a little painful. But again, if you have a subclass or an exotic that's going to help you keep you alive, make sure when you pick up orbs, that's going to help get you ammo or get you health. And again, you have 30 seconds, so just make sure your timer doesn't run out, and the enemies will just spawn in waves. But again, you can always use super, you can use grenades, you can use all these things, because every 10 that you pick up, your abilities are going to get fully recharged. There's usually one captain, so just be aware that he's going to be around at some point. And all you need is 20 to be able to clear the center crystal. When you get 20, then, because I'm actually standing near it, so I don't know actually if I've got a total yet. But once you've got 20, then you should be able to break the crystal, and that's going to take the shield off of the Servitor. I'm going to stand up here for a minute, deposit what I've got. And if you're worried, you can always stand up here, deposit some, then deposit a little more. It's just sometimes nice to get it all done at once. Again, if you come around here, find a few more ads that do spawn. And you don't have to pick all of them up. If I had like 16, needed like a couple more. Stand on the middle and just make sure, because some of these are going to be sitting around, make sure that you don't have extra of these sitting on you. So you can see I'm going to break the shield there. When you break the shield, no more ads will spawn. You don't have to worry about quite as many of those. And you have 90 seconds once this guy dies to get him in position, so don't feel like you are rushed at all. And see the burden by riches? I kind of forgot it was on me. Make sure you come up and clear that buff, and make sure you don't walk over any more engrams. Now your goal with just a little bit of like kind of bumping and nudging is you're going to roll this little guy, and it's got some decent magnetism into the little cannon spot. Then all you got to do is go find the Scorch Cannon that should be sitting somewhere around here. And you want to check and make sure, because depending on how much travel you've had around these sections, you want to basically make sure it's lined up at one of these things right here. Come over here and activate it, and it's going to fly where it needs to go. And you just have to do that 3 more times. So now, try and get a decent vantage point, and you're just looking for that Servitor that has a shield. So I can see him way up there. So what I would need to do is I'm going to launch myself, not that way. Told you they usually have one on one side and one on the other, so this will launch me up there. And if you do get a damage number, it'll actually get the launch going. Travel over here, same principle. It always seems to go left first, which is never seemingly where I need to go. Now I know this is going to take me up to that platform. There's my launcher. And again, if you just hit the side of that little, like, kind of receptacle, it's still, as long as you get a damage number and you'll kind of learn where you can hit, you'll come up here. So again, same principle is going to apply right here. Find your Scorch Cannon guy first. Just unload on him so he doesn't spawn, doesn't hit you while you're doing all this. Leave him be. And then just now start working on your ads. Grenade to line things up. Start killing these guys. And I don't need to repeat this over and over. Biggest thing is, like, your first wave's not going to have a captain. Second wave will typically have a captain. Third one won't. Usually by the third, you should have enough to where you don't need any more. Make sure you deposit on the middle. Make sure you clear your debuff once you're done actually with the crystal, so you don't have that thing randomly kill you later on. And again, you have so much time, don't rush anything. Like right here, I'll probably clear this first set. So I got one more engram. Every time you pick up an engram, it extends the timer. And again, when I said a super, use it. Just start blowing everything up with a super. Find one where you can do a lot of ad clearing that has a little bit of time, not more of like a one-shot. You know, use Fist of Havoc instead of Thunder Crash type thing. And then once you're done, start picking up all those little engrams. And once you have your 20, especially if you didn't have 10, you're going to get your super right back. And there you go. See, my super's back, my abilities are back, and I'm good. And I've got 20, so I can come up here and dunk. It's actually nice to dunk when an enemy is still alive, so you actually don't get that next wave. I wasn't quite fast enough for that. But again, even if you run around and pick them up, even though you like have finished the crystal, that's okay. Just to make sure you're not going to run over them later. You can just like jump up here while you're clearing the buff off of you. Take this guy out once you get it to about half. Yeah, probably about what? Yeah. Should be able to finish him up. If you finish him, it's weird because it will spawn the ad, but it's just going to be a little farther over. And just depending on where you are, take a second and just make sure you know where you got to roll this thing. Right here, I just need to kind of roll it down the stairs, so give it a second, give it a little nudge. As long as it's headed in the right direction, it will magnetize and pull that way. And the same thing, usually when you get to a platform, it is generally lined up to be in the right direction. If you've moved it around, usually the center one is probably what you need. Come back up here, initiate it. It's going to launch. Track it along just to make sure. You may as well watch in case see if you had something oddly lined up. And then I've got to do that 2 more times. So I would have to do it down there for one of the launches, and then 1 more. So I'm going to finish up the other 2, and then we will move forward. You can see the fallen shield is halfway, so I got 2 more. So I'm going to get the last launcher going, and then I'll show you guys my final boss section prep. Alright, so whichever one you fire last will actually bring down the shield. You'll see it launch up. It's going to bring down the shield, but you also notice the platform you're on will move typically directly almost pointed to the center. I don't know if it always ends you on a lower platform. It seems to, though, that you're going to generally be pointed towards the center. And that's what you need to go to. So, you can hit that little side panel. It'll launch me right towards the center. And this is where your loot chest will be. Mine's empty right now because I've already done it this week. But we should be able to farm it once they kind of fix that bug. But your loot will be here. And then, if you haven't been in the center already, you may have had to pass through the center. No big deal. Just make sure you're pointed directly up. Then we're going to head up to the boss fight. Pretty easy. A little touch off the ceiling. And head over here. So you run over here, and then we're going to be in the boss arena. I will do some explanation as to what's going to happen in the boss arena before we start it. And then I'm going to give you guys 1 full damage phase of the boss fight, just to show you guys, because it's honestly repetition after that. Once you can do 1 phase, just like the ogre, once you can do 1 damage phase in here, then you'll be able to just repeat it once you find a consistent way to do that for yourself. So let me get everything prepped up, and then we'll cover everything. All right, so we are finally in the boss room, the final boss for this entire thing. There's a decent explanation here. If you have an idea what's going on, you can jump ahead to the gameplay, but I'm going to try and explain everything that's going on real quick. Quick run through, whatever you want for your kinetic slot, risk runner for that arc resistance. Make sure you have your solar damage resistance on, linear fusion, reserves, ammo finders, scavengers, that type of thing. And then make sure you've got protective light on something and particle deconstruction for that boss DPS. Remember, I'm just using a base level tarantula with boss spec. That is all. And I still actually have done decent amount of damage with this thing. I've actually with pure optimal run, you could do this in 4 damage phases. Probably going to take you 5 though, so just keep that in mind. You got a better option like rapid hit, frenzy, faster reloads, that type of thing. If you've got a well, if you've got a bubble, all of those things will increase your damage. But on a base level of this loadout, this is kind of what you're working with. Now, what's going to happen is you need 60 of the Burden of Riches totally deposited in that crystal to start this encounter. Every time you're going to have a Scorch guy running around, and you're going to have to shoot, you know, the little canisters here. When you shoot the canister and explode those, this time you're going to have engrams that drop out of the sides. It's going to be out of these things. And there's certain ones they'll open up from. Some can be up fairly high. Some can be down at this level. But you're going to have engrams that come out. And there's 5 that come out of each one. You'll say you're going to have like 5 here. And this is not exact, but close. 5 here. And then in the middle section, you'll say you're going to have like 5 here, 5 here. And then on the far side, maybe like 5 over there and 5 over there. As a solo player, you can, on a fairly consistent basis, get 20. So you would theoretically have to do this 3 times, and you do have to do it 3 times no matter what. But what happens is when you get near that engram, you're going to spawn the boss, but you're also going to spawn 2 other boss level enemies. One is a giant shank. You can't crit him, so that's where the linear fusion rifle is a little less beneficial. And then you also have like a bosun, which is kind of just like a vandal basically, and he's got the arc tracer shots. And those two enemies are going to be pretty time suck. They're just going to take a little while to kill, but the bosun, the ground level guy, not the shank, will actually drop 10 of those engrams as well. So if you kill him and can pick up those 10 and deposit them in the middle, you'll already have 10 to start. Then if you do a wave, or typically what I would do is like say 5 up here, 5 up here, and then say try and get the other 10 that are down in this middle section. That would be 20. You won't be able to get usually the rest on the other side, so 20 is usually the max I go for, just for easy math. Deposit them in the middle, and then when I'm done, rinse and repeat. So you're going to have Vandals that pop out every so often. As you can see, this is where the Vandals are going to pop out over here. They usually come out in groups of 8. For the center section, you're going to have the Vandals that come out from this little invisible spawn doorway. They'll be roaming around down here. And then on this side, you're going to have another 8 Vandals that pop out of this thing, and they land right about here. So depending on what's going on, you'll always have Vandals kind of sporadically coming out. But basically what I will do is I'll, touch the engram to start, and when I start the encounter, I'm going to basically clear out everything from back here. Boss won't be touching me, the shank won't be touching me, and the bosun, the guy in the middle, the little Vandal, won't be messing with me. I'll kill the guys on the sides, do what I got to do, clear those guys out, clear the other guys, and then you want to kind of hang back here until you get the Scorch Cannon guy to head back your direction. Now, he's a little iffy in here. I've had him floating in midair and other things, but if you can get the Scorch Cannon from him, I actually use that to do most of my damage to the shank, since I don't have a whole lot for crit damage, and it's easy to peek out, tag it with a Scorch Shot, let it spin up all the way to like triple damage, and then when it explodes, it's about 44k. And with most of the Scorch Cannon, you'll nearly kill it. Get out and get a couple of those, grenade shots or whatever special ammo you got. Finish them up, not too bad. Then for the bosun, usually what I'll do is actually Risk Runner is really good. If you can say hide behind, say like right here, and the bosun's down here, he's going to shoot you with arcs. So you're already loaded up with arc conductors, so you can just sit here and unload on him. And then if the boss is near him, the chain lightning goes back and forth, and then he'll actually take a lot of damage. If you get low on health, just pull back here. One thing to know about the boss, he will throw the fallen slow mines. He will throw them back at you. They'll land on the ground. It's the ones that pop up in the air for a second. You can shoot them out of the air, or if you get slowed back here, just basically take it slow. So that's the general idea. You need a total of 60. If you do it right, like you get everything nice, even numbers, the bosun will drop 10, deposit those. Say you do the left side first, get, 5 here, 5 here, and they get the 10 through the middle, that's 20. Deposit those in the middle. Then wait for the Scorch guy to come back out. Then usually you'll have to alternate sides. Then it'll be 5, 5, get the 10 across the middle, and dunk. You'd be at 50 at that point. Come back over here, and if the math is right, and you're good on your deposits, then you could just do 5 and 5. You'll have plenty of time. Usually then I'll use my Risk Runner to kind of clean out all the ads, deposit the 10, and then when I go for damage, the safest place that I have found for damage is actually over here. Now, if you have a Well of Radiance, you can sit right on top of that crystal and pretty much tank everything that comes at you because that super's a beast. But for me, on a Titan and not using Ward of Dawn for Weapons of Light, typically I will come over here. I'll use this as a little cover for reloads. The boss is going to sit literally about right there, and I'll do my damage from here. And the big thing to note is if you get some enemies that spawn, throw a grenade, take care of them. Biggest thing, you don't want to die in the middle of 3 or 4 damage phases in. And if you don't get a purely optimal damage phase, that is okay. If you do get an optimal damage phase, I'll show you guys a screenshot at the end where I got I think all 21 shots off or something like that. It actually worked out really well, and it had 1.148 or something like that damage. Basically, if you multiply that by 4, it would be over 4.5 million, and that's his health. So you can technically do this in 4 with a low-level loadout. If you have anything better than the loadout that I've got, any way to improve your damage, whether it's a better weapon, Ward of Dawn, Well of Radiance, anything like that that's going to benefit you, then you can probably do this in 4 if you're decent on your damage phases. If you got to do it in 5, do it in 5. It is not a big deal. Just the biggest thing is about everything else is endurance. So basically, spawn the boss, hang out behind that giant thing in the back, take care of the shank, take care of the boss Vandal, and then clear out the ads, find your Scorch Cannon guy, shoot your Scorch Cannon into here, and when that happens, you're going to get all of them to drop. Usually start with, get the 5 that are on your side here, usually get the 5 that are towards the front of the room, come up here. If there's any ads, I usually mow those down as I'm kind of jumping across. and then get the 10 that are usually kind of roaming anywhere between here and where I landed previously, and then come up here, depending on where the boss is at, deposit them in the middle. If you need to pop your super in the middle for damage mitigation, you should have that back after picking up 20. You need to pop a well, if you need to pop a wall, if you need to go invisible, whatever you need to do to deposit those in the middle, do it. After that, rinse and repeat. So I know I've got a decent run of damage in here. I'm going to show you guys that one, and then we'll wrap this thing up. I'm not going to go all the way through killing the boss. I'll let you guys see the end of that phase, because basically once you can do it once, it's just rinsing and repeating that entire damage phase. So let's get to the boss fight and damage phase, and I'll show you one of these sections. So here we go. Swing on by there. Boss is going to run out. He can do a slam if you get close, so be careful about that. As I said, those guys will typically spawn over there. So it's a nice thing with a grenade launcher if I can kill them in groups. Cool. You're going to have a couple dregs over there. You can let them tag you. Get a little extra range out of that. Little lethality. There's our Scorch Cannon man. Try and put a little damage in. Honestly, what I like to do is bring him close to me, though, because sometimes he'll actually come over to this platform. But if you annoy him, he'll tend to run away. So now we've got our sniper guy up. And this is where I almost will typically wait and try and clear out the dregs that are on either side. And see if that Scorch Cannon guy will actually head up here to me. And if you don't get off this platform, the dregs tend really not to respawn. So I'm trying to get Scorch Cannon guy up. There he is. Once you can get to where you can finish him, go for that. If the Scorch Cannon kind of popped off a little bit, go grab it over here. And now it's time just to take out our sniper guy. Try and line up your shot. Wait till he stands still. Give him a second. Kind of strafe a little. And then just hang here. And there's the little slow bombs that they throw. Hang out for a little bit. Let that thing go. Get your full charge. And again, just kind of strafe. See if you can get him to stand still for a second and tag him. 44k with this thing in a very patient and safe way. Now this is what I'll try and do. Is if I know I get the full charge, I'll kind of switch over here. Once again. And again, you'll get big chunks of damage without having to really stick your neck out very much. Much easier and safer to take this guy out. Now, if you miss one, no big deal. Just make sure you landed it before you charge it up for nothing. There you go. If you see that like 2375, you know you landed the original knock. And the health will just go down slowly. But this is a patience game. We don't have a crit. We don't have a Gjallarhorn to rush into him. The thing about Gjallarhorn here, those little mines the boss will throw at you, I have totally blown myself up because the boss like chunked one of those little mines at me, and then I literally like this, and I shot Gjallarhorn and it blew up right in my face. So that's why I've actually been happy not to have Gjallarhorn, because I haven't killed myself since I took that thing off. Now, if you got other people with you, yeah, it's going to be able to put out some good damage if you don't have great linears. But if you're doing it solo and you're worried about dying, it's a little safer. There's full charge. And again, if you get slowed, just hang back here until that slow thing goes away. Or just, you know, pull to the other side. Find our friend. And I think this is like my last shot. And if you leave up like one drag on one side, no big deal. Looks like I got some bonus damage. My last hit actually landed. I don't know if this one's going to kill him, but nice thing about it being third person. That one's good. I can take that one out. I did actually see some heavy drop, which is nice. Good time to check and see if things are reloaded. So now we have our bosun. Now, the bosun is going to be shooting those little arc trace shots. But as you got Risk Runner, you can just sit here and fire them back. So if you get tagged by like one of these shots, you're going to have Arc Conductor, and then all of a sudden you just start melting. And then if the boss teleports near him, the chain lightning effect is fantastic just to melt his health. Or you can shoot the boss and have the chain lightning go. So Risk Runner on this guy, like watch your health. Every so often you might need to pull back. And then if you got some ads coming out on the side, Scorch Cannon guy's back. Don't ask me how he lands on invisible platforms like that. He's got some cool physics going on. I'm not entirely sure. But also, if you want to grab the Scorch Cannon, you can do that too. But honestly, Risk Runner is easier because this guy's going to constantly pepper you with arc. And then you can just sit there and like take that and start unloading on him. And just sit there and shoot him. Like watch your health. Sit here, chill. If you got a healing rift, you could probably do this forever. If the boss teleports near him, then you have that like chain lightning back and forth that's like even more powerful. And then if you feel like you're hurting, pull back a little bit. He's actually really easy with Risk Runner. Now, this guy will actually drop 10 engrams, so he's going to make this fight a little faster if you can pick up those 10 engrams. So what I like to do is get him very, 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 very low. Like to where it's almost going to take like one bullet to kill him. Now, the thing is, as I said, the boss will stomp. So typically what you'll want to do is to separate yourself from the boss and him. I'm trying to find the little dude down here. Chain him out. I'm going to clear these ads down below, and I'm basically just run around the outside now, because I'm not worried about the sniper, and that is why Risk Runner is fantastic. This chain lightning is just stupidly good. Nice way to clear out some ads and also get some ammo up. Do not touch the water in this arena. It will kill you. Unlike in the previous section, the water down below will kill you, so don't touch it, like, at all. So now what you're looking for is trying to find a time where that bosun is far away from the boss. So if I can do this, then I can come in here, and I can pick up these 10, grab the 10, and then check the boss position. You got 30 seconds. Don't rush this. So from here, if you know you got to clear on the left, and I'm going to come over here and put the boss and the crystal, or the crystal between me and the boss, and make sure, and again, watch for the teleport, and then watch for ads, because they could be around. It's just 10. It's not hard to deposit 10. You got to do 10 at a time, that's okay too. Now I got a lot more ads spawning. But now, all those previous ads are down, and so far I have deposited 10. It's important to keep track. You're going for a total of 60. And as I said, I typically go for about 20 on each side. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go see if the Scorch Cannon stays up, and sometimes it's just going to disappear on you, and that is okay. That's just one of those things you got to wait for the Scorch Cannon guy to come back, which he probably will soon, and then just pick it back up. So you got to figure out which side is open. I think it's this one. Yep, this is open. You'll see a closed one is very obvious. There's no, like, blue thing in there. But typically what I'll do, for one, if these guys are coming down, nice place to throw a grenade. And if you know you're going to be dunking here, you're going to be orbs from this side, then make sure the area is as clear as possible. So I also try and use Risk Runner down there. If you've got the Catalyst, the range is actually enough, and the Chain Lightning clears most of the ads. You might leave, like, one guy mostly dead. And then now, as I've got both sections cleared, I'm going to get my charge going. As soon as I'm done with the charge, I'm going to put the Scorch Cannon down. Not worried about keeping it. I'm going to look up to see where they spawn from. So these are actually in the back. These are some of the harder ones. Make sure you get your first 5. Second 5 should be up here. Now I'm going to that mid section. If enemies are spawning, that is okay. This is why you have a Risk Runner. Get these 5. You've got your arc resistance. Chain a little bit to kind of stun them. Pick up your orbs. Try and really get the full 20. You got to punch one. Do what you got to do. Pick up an orb. And the nice thing is there should be orbs on the ground from killing that many enemies. But you should have an orb that should give you some health back. Now I've got 20. Now I just need to get the opposite side of the boss. Make sure I don't have too many ads hitting me here. Boss is close. I'm going to come back here. And again, I've still got 11 seconds. So if I get to a point where I feel like I'm in a pickle, boss teleports to a bad spot, not, you know, in a good position here. Healing Rift would be great. Being invisible would be great. Titan, wall will help you as well. I was just trying not to use that. So that's 20. So now we're up to 30 total. Scorch Cannon guy is back. I think that's literally most of my ads over there. I actually did not want to get that close to the boss, but that was just kind of a sheer bit of luck. So again, farming for some ammo. Waiting for Scorch Cannon guy to be coming over. He tends to either be really scared of you or really aggressive. One of the two. Sometimes he'll be right up in your face. Other times, if you sneeze on him, he runs away. Again, try and use Risk Runner. I try and clear this place out anytime I've got a good angle on it. Just to give myself a nice set of ads I don't have to worry about. If these guys just spawned. There's our Scorch Cannon now down. Again, all these orbs, there's more health respawn. That's your goal. Always using those orbs to get you that health respawn. So again, now this side is closed, so I've got to go to the other side. So you want to bring the Scorch Cannon with you. Same thing. If I'm going to be doing damage on this side, I'm going to come over here, drop off the Scorch Cannon. I'm going to clear all the ads on this side. Allows me to get some orbs if I need them. Allows me to make sure I've got a pretty safe path for fighting all these enemies. Make sure they're all down. There's usually some hiders. Then also check this middle section, because you're going to be passing through here. So if they just spawned, It's a really easy way to clear them out. I tend to try and leave one, because if you leave one, they typically won't all respawn. One's not going to kill you, especially with this thing. Same principle. We're going to go here. Get our charge going. Get in the back of the arena to see where they're going to drop out of. As soon as you get the full charge, look up and see where they're dropping from. So I got to go a little farther forward. It's kind of like playing catch underneath. There's 10. Then this should be 10 more. Just really try and guide it, depending on where they spawn. You can go for a couple extra, but just for even numbers, I tend not to. So once I know I've got my 20, then I'm going to go to the opposite side of the captain. And just try and keep the crystal between he and I. If he teleports, try and pay attention. Again, a well, being invisible, a wall will all help you stay alive. There's my other 20. So I'm currently up to 50 right now. I need exactly 10 more. And again, being exact allows you to get to that damage phase a little bit quicker. So now this is the side that's open. I'm going to be looking for a Scorch Cannon, but this time I'm only going to pick up the 10 on this side and leave the ones in the middle. Don't even care about them. So, looking for a Scorch Cannon friend who is back. Fun to hit him with directs. Yeah, it's like if you tag him, he's going to be a little scared, but not much you can do besides chase him down. Also, if you want, you can actually go clear over this thing. If no, like out of bounds, you can literally just run over the top. And you can get to the other side. It's actually not too bad. Scorch Cannon, where'd he go? Well, thanks for bringing it to me. There we go. So now, as I said, typically what I'm going to do, just for a safety sake, is I'm going to do damage from one side. So I will typically do damage to the boss from right about here. Now, it's going to be a little delayed. It's not going to be quite as optimal as like sitting right in there in the middle with a well or a bubble, but it is a safer place to fight. Now, I'm in no rush right now. My goal is actually to have these guys spawn, which is perfect. Clear them out. Peek over the edge. Make sure I get a fresh clear on these guys so there's not too much that's going to fight me or hit me from far away. I got about one guy down there. That's about perfect timing. So now I'm just going to get my 10. I'm going to dunk, and I'm going to come right back over to this platform to do my damage. That's full clear. So they're coming from behind me again. Of course they would. I got my 5 here, and then I got 5 up on this platform. Now, if I get a fresh set of adds, I got plenty of time, so I'm actually going to clear them out. It would be a great time to throw a grenade, but it's also good to get charged with light. Figure out where the captain is. If he teleports, stay mobile. It's only 10, and be ready with your heavy. Here we go. He's going to move back. I'm going to come way back here. He's going to be up here for damage. So once you get that damage buff, then you can just start nuking him. Now, this is no bubble. This is no well. This is no bonus damage. This is just particle deconstruction, and that's all I'm going to get. Now, if I had a rally barricade, that would actually probably be a good time to use it here. But notice you're not sitting in the middle. 3/4 of the room is not really able to hit you. And you're just over here in safe cover. And all you're just going to do is try and dump all the ammo that you can out of a normal linear fusion rifle. And you might have to do this 4 or 5 times, depending. There's my damage. It probably would end up being 5 damage phases. But you also notice we have the shank out now. And then the bosun will be out. So same principle is going to apply. I'm going to come back here. And at this point, you really are just going to mostly rinse and repeat. And all you really have left is just being consistent and staying alive. So your best bet is use your super if you get in a pinch. Every time you pick up 10 engrams, you'll get more. Just, you know, if you need to get ammo, just wait until, you know, any of the drag spawns. You can actually get more ammo for that next damage phase. And other than that, just take your time, be patient, and if you die, don't worry. I've died plenty of times making this guide. You will eventually get that flawless. And if you do die on the boss himself, just, you know, the more you practice it, the better you're going to get, and you guys will get this done. And then once you spend a lot of time practicing it for a normal solo run, then you can start working on those flawless runs, and eventually it will come together. I promise you. Taken me a lot of time on some of the previous dungeons. This one came together the fastest just because I think I'm getting used to dungeons. But overall, hopefully this one helped. Let's get to the outro right now. And that basically wraps up the guide. I'm not going to go all the way through the final boss encounter, but I did want to show you guys a screenshot when I had a pretty optimal damage phase with just this loadout, and I was able to do like 1.1 some odd damage. The boss has 4.5 million health, and I was able to do 1.1 million, 1.1 and change, it was like 1.14. So if you multiply that over 4 damage phases, technically if I'm optimal with this loadout, I could do the final boss in 4 damage phases. It likely would be 5 unless you're just like perfect every time. But again, if you have better weapons, if you have sleeper, whatever it is, sleeper I wouldn't really do, but if you have even a slightly better linear fusion rifle, you're probably going to be better off. So I hope this guide helped all of you guys out. If it did, drop a like below, leave a comment if you have questions, loadouts, exotics, subclasses, anything that you all found beneficial, share that with the community. You guys are always great about helping and commenting and just kind of being positive to help everybody else out there. If you want to find me, if you do a solo run, if you do a solo flawless run, find me on Twitter and tag me with your screenshot. I want to see you guys have success in this dungeon. It's Ebontis on Twitter. If you want to find me streaming, it's twitch.tv/Ebontis right here on YouTube. If you haven't subbed to the channel yet and you enjoyed this guide, please hit that sub button and the alert bell. That helps my videos make it to you, but also supports me. If you want to support me directly, you can join the channel as a member after you sub, or you can find my Patreon in the link down below. Hopefully this guide was helpful. Have a good one, and I'll see you soon.